Mm. Ah, good morning. Happy Thursday, everyone. We are live on YouTube. Got to share. If you're watching the replay, you can always fast forward to about 1.5 minutes, and I'm usually getting started. Let me see here. Okay, posting live in the group. Have you anchored in this morning? Because I have not. Okay. Kind of woke up late. Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Okay. Enjoy my horrible singing voice. Okay. We are live. Join me. Yeah. Join me here. Everyone. Everyone and anchor in. Okay. Hello. Hello, YouTube. If you're watching the replay, I am sorry. Getting set up can always be a challenge. Tech, tech, tech. I love tech. Okay. And it's not like I don't think anybody watches the lives here, but maybe they do. Who knows? If you do, you can say hello in the chat. Okay. All right. Oh, we should hit record or else we're not going to be able to put this anywhere else very easily. Eh, I'm being a goof doof today, but okay. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Rise and Shine with Morning Moon. My name is Coach Lacy, and I hope that you are having a beautiful Thursday. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, ding that bell for updates, and share with your friends. If you're not in the Facebook group, Rise and Shine with Morning Moon, be sure to join and anchor in with your Wellness Foundation's checklist. Today it is Thursday, and we are diving right in along with the topics of the week that kind of go in sequence, which is kind of funny because I talk about things, what's on my heart that morning, and they seem to be going in a pattern here, sequence. So it's great. All right. Are we actually recording? Okay, we are recording. So, okay. All right. We're going to do this again. Oh, recording in progress. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. What is happening here? Oh, there I am. Okay. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. Welcome to Rise and Shine with Morning Moon. My name is Coach Lacy, and I am just coming to you today, this Thursday, to talk about trust. Not just trusting in God and the divine design and the calling on your life, but what to do when trust is broken and trust is breached. It could be broken by others. Could be broken by us. Could be a little combination of both, which usually is the case. We all have a part to play in this dance called life. And sometimes we have trust that's broken. And sometimes our trust wanes when things don't work out the way that we think that they should. And the truth of the matter is that all of us have had trust broken. We've all messed up. We've all said the wrong thing, snapped at somebody we loved, betrayed in a moment of vulnerability, or shut down when someone needs us to stay open. We've all of us have felt the sting when someone we trusted, including ourselves, didn't hold our heart with care. And that kind of break, it just hits differently. It seeps into your bones. It sits into your soul. And especially when it's family or someone that you thought would never hurt you, right? And let me tell you, I am not perfect. I have broken trust. I've had trust broken, and no one gets through life with perfect with perfect record here. What matters most, though, is what we do after the trust is broken. And in those moments of vulnerability and when we are trying to move forward and and fix what has fallen apart. And sometimes rebuilding that trust, it starts with being brutally honest with yourself. What did I contribute to this? And you ask yourself that. I've had moments recently where I have broken some trust. I have broken some trust, and I'm going to just say it right now. Being a parent is not easy. And if you are a parent of a teenager or a new adult, someone that is just turned 18, a young adult, you know how difficult it can be to communicate with your grown children, your young adult children, or your teenage children. And you know how difficult it can be to ensure that things are in their future are solid, so that they understand that when life comes and it crumbles, how to build things back up again and have fortitude. And sometimes we don't always say the nicest things, and sometimes we don't always show up in a way that is showing our heart, right? Like, so how did we contribute to this? And I'm sure there's other examples, but for right now, in my life, my example is I have a very sharp tongue, and I am very brutally blunt about things and brutally honest. And sometimes it's to the detriment of relationships, and my mouth can get me into a place where trust is broken because they can't trust that I won't use use these things against them, so to speak. We all have our things. So how did I contribute to this? When you break trust, how did you contribute to this? And where did you abandon the truth or abandon yourself? There are times where trust is broken, and maybe you didn't follow your heart, or maybe you did something you thought someone else would want you to do, or there are so many things that if we don't take a conscious look at ourselves and our contribution, we are not able to fully understand what needs to shift. And so when we're looking at rebuilding trust, we need to look at, okay, yes, this person broke my trust, but how did I contribute to that? Right? How did I contribute to the trust break? How did I contribute to the fracture? And focusing on our part is really the only thing that we can fix. Where have you been too rigid? Or too proud or too afraid? Being rigid means, where have you been? Um, uh, where are you not able to compromise? Where are you just stuck in this belief pattern? Or maybe you're lying to yourself and others, and you have a story that you've told everyone, and you have a story that you're telling yourself so that you could get what you want. And if you were to tell the truth and the actual fact of the matter, your story would fall apart, and things wouldn't flow in the way that you want them to flow. And so you're being rigid in this story, rather than just telling the truth, and you're too afraid or too proud to actually tell the truth. You know, there's been examples, um, in recent years, like 2020. Let's give 2020 as an example, because this is something universal that everyone can understand. We all know that the lockdowns were not the necessarily the correct way to go about dealing with what happened in 2020, especially when it came to our children. But those people who believed that at the time, that it was the proper way to deal with it, or whatever it was during that time, they hammered into that and doubled down in there. Yes, it needed to be this way. And they keep telling this story of, well, justification. I think that the face coverings are another one, and the experimental is it, the thing is another one. People doubled down in their they double down in their lie that they have been told or have been telling because they don't want to have to fix all of the things that were exposed when it was going on. And so it's easier to just double down and keep the lie going and just keep that going. And yeah, yeah, oh yeah, it was great, rather than be like, no, I was wrong. That was a disaster. And this is how we can do it better next time. And that takes it takes a lot of fortitude and self-reflection and being humble to literally say you're wrong, to say that I was wrong. I was wrong about that. And maybe we should have done it differently, right? And that's a hard thing to do for people, you know. But other times it's not our mess to clean up, it's not our problem. It's not something that we have even done, or like we're just happenstance to be a part of the situation. But even then we're still invited to do the hard work of self-reflection and forgiveness and introspection, and just not letting people off the hook, but to call people out on their bullshit, and to call people out on the story and say, this is actually how things went down. This is actually what happened. Yes, I was wrong here. Yes, you were wrong here. But this is how we can move forward, right? So we don't just let people off the hook, and we don't just like forget about it. You can't sweep shit under the rug. It's not going to work that way. You can't live in alignment when you are poisoning your spirit with lies, and lies of omission are probably the worst lies. And that is something that is rampant in our culture, lies of omission, not telling the truth. With like a lie of omission would be, say if you know something, or you are doing something, or um say you had like gotten a new job and you just didn't tell anyone. um you could say that's a lie of omission, or things that you just don't tell people that you should be telling people. Now there's caveats to that, like if you're pregnant in your first 3 months, waiting to make sure that you're not going to lose the baby, then that's, sometimes that's necessary for protection. um and the way that we can redeem ourselves for that is to just tell the truth at the time and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that, this is going on because I was concerned about X, Y, and Z, but this is the truth now. But not to keep the lie going and be like, oh no, I just, I just, I just got this job, um, don't make people a fool by lying to them, and that's spiritual maturity. Sometimes when we talk about trust, we have to also, when we're talking about trust, we have to also talk about faith. And it's not just faith in God. Everything relies on that faith in God, like if you want to thrive. But the faith the faith in that hearts can heal, and that people can grow, and that you can forgive yourself and forgive others, because that breakdown in trust can cause a breakdown in trust within yourself, and then you think you're broken forever, and that's just a lie. And you think this relationship or whatever is broken forever, and that's just a lie. you know and sometimes I look at the messes I've made in some of the relationships I've had, and I straight fucking cringe. Especially with my younger self when I was rampant with addiction. Oh, but then I remind myself, you know what, Lacy, I am a work in progress. I am a continually learning and growing and maturing, and so is everyone else. We're all on this journey together. We're all walking each other home, and what matters is not that we get it right all the time. I'll say all the fucking time. We don't get it right all the fucking time. But if we can return to the place of love and forgiveness and faith, and we keep showing up, and we humble ourselves, and we tell the truth even when we don't want to, even when our voice shakes, even if we think people are going to be mad at us. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have spoken the truth and people have been mad at me and cut me off. completely for silly things, for talking about things like human atrocities. Like I have been cut off for some of the dumbest things, blocked, just ousted, done. Like people have cut me off for some of the silliest things, all because I just tell it like it is. And the people that cut other people off because they tell it like it is are lying to themselves. They're continually living in a lie, continually living in a lie. There was this one time when in my life when I had there was a person in my life who was convinced they had a medical problem, like just totally convinced that they had a medical problem. And I entertained this and I went with them and I did all the things to try to fix this medical problem. But in my heart of heart, I knew that was not it was not actually what the person thought it was. It was actually just something surface. But they were damn determined. And I think they knew too that it wasn't actually as detrimental as they made it out to be. But because they were already caught up in it, and to this person, they're young, but when they were caught up in it, they they had to make the choice of, oh, should I actually admit the fact that I was wrong and I don't have this going on, or should I just keep it going and we'll just keep telling the lie. And unfortunately they doubled down and just kept it going, and I will always remember that you know that instance of just keeping it going. And it's like, okay, and okay, if you're going to lie to yourself, then that's going to be a humbling moment when you realize the detriment that this type of behavior causes long term. And this person continues to have these patterns and to this day still does these things. And so it's like, okay, but you just kind of have to distance yourself a little bit, say, I love you, God bless you. Um, but you're a work in progress too, and return to love and just show up and be humble and willing to do better. And that's spiritual maturity. That's maturity in a nutshell. And I am wildly immature on so many levels, but uh, having walked through so much pain and chaos in a short time has allowed me the perspective to take a look at these moments of friction and see where I've contributed to it and try to make a change. Right. And so as a child of God and as someone who wants to continually strive and be the best version of myself, I have to recognize when I'm lying to myself, right? Or when I'm lying to others, or when I am not trusting people, like having a lack of trust is a problem too, like having a lack of trust, having just having faith that people will not hurt you can be difficult, and if you've been walking with a heavy heart and you're carrying guilt or resentment or shame or fear, all those things, lay it down, lay that down, lay that shit down. You don't have to carry it. God already knows your heart. And, you know, you need to heal. It's not about perfection. It's just about healing, right? We can't we can't control other people's choices and we can't rewrite the past, but we can choose to show up with authenticity. And we can choose to speak truth, but with love, not have such sharp tongues. That's for myself. And own our parts. We can choose to own it and be like, "Hey, I messed up. I messed up. I behaved in a way that was wildly immature, and what can I do to correct that? You know? And then setting healthy boundaries. You don't have to cut people off completely, because that is a mark of someone who doesn't have any emotional regulation when you cut people off, unless they are physically abusing you, or just completely emotionally toxic, which the lie of the day is, if someone makes you uncomfortable, they're toxic. If someone calls you out on your shit, you're toxic. If someone is whatever, they're toxic. And there's a lot of different schools of thought on that, but it comes down to being a victim. And there's, especially the younger generation lives in victim mode. Oh, you're toxic. I'm going to cut you off. Okay, like how's that working for you? Pretty good, right? So extend grace to others and to yourself. If you've been the person that's been that person and been wildly immature, it's all right. We People forgive you, like forgive yourself. Like anybody in my life, everyone, every single person in my life, including the people that have hurt me physically and sexually and emotionally. I've been abused in multiple way, every like all the ways, like I have a history, a very uh colorful history, and I've been hurt a lot. And I don't need to go into those details, but every single one of my um um and every single one of the people that have hurt me, I've forgiven them and I love them, and I can sit in the room with them to this day and give them a hug and say, hey, what's up? you know uh unless it's something like you're hurting animals or children, then I'll cut you. But other than that, it's like everybody gets that grace, unless you're hurting animals and children, you don't get any grace from me. But other than that, I mean, just love, extend grace. People are hurting, people are immature, people don't know how to show up in the world and conduct themselves. I'm almost 40 years old and I'm just learning how to conduct myself, and have faith, and having faith. And faith isn't just about trusting God to move mountains, it's about trusting even even in the rubble of broken trust, when everything is broken down and it's just like the house is broken, it's burned to the ground, that can be used for something redemptive. You can just build again, baby. It's the way it is. It's the way it should be. We're not meant to live in isolation. We're not meant to live in regret. We are not meant to live in resentment. We're not meant to live in bitterness. We are not. We are meant to live in joy and love and freedom and sovereignty, and to help others along the way. We are all carrying our own backpack. Some of us are carrying a ton of luggage up that mountain, and we need to drop it. It's not ours to carry, you know? It's not ours to carry. For a long time, I was going up the mountain, and I had my backpack, and I had my husband's backpack, and I had my daughter's backpack, my stepdaughter's backpack. I took those backpacks off. That's their stuff to deal with for a long, long time. And I keep trying to pick their backpacks up and help them. But those backpacks are not mine to carry. I can carry them for a time and help them, but I can't carry them all the way up the mountain. It's their backpack to carry. So recognize recognize your responsibility in your life, and how do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to make an impact? How do you want to make a generational ripple effect that will go on for the ages? How do you want to show up? How do you want people to remember you? Do you want your family and friends to remember you as the person that's always in victim mode, causing drama and being a pain in the ass? I certainly don't. And I was that person for a very long time. I was a meth addict. I was the meth addict. I was that person. I broke my mother's heart time and time again. My mother's heart was probably broken for a better part of 30 years. Maybe not 30, but like probably 25, literally. Like from the time I was 15 uh until I was 35, 37, 35. It's only been in the last few years, the last 2 years, that my mom and that is when I got saved by the love of Jesus Christ, and put my shit down and stopped. I stopped running from myself, and I stopped having this ego, and I stopped thinking that I can manifest everything and then it's all me. It's not all me. There's this lie out there in the new age world that we can manifest our destiny. Sure, words have power. Sure, thoughts have power. Sure, we can create our reality with the help of Christ, with the help of God, with the help of the divine design and the calling on your life. You are not the author. You are the storyteller. We are the storyteller. We didn't write the story. We can change a few chapters, but we didn't write the story. So show up. So show up like you have purpose and you have power and your story has been written. And there's a redemption and there's been a climax. There's a divine design and a calling on your life. Act that way. No matter where you're at in your life, whether you are, 75 years old, whether you're 18, it's time for us to show up in a way that exceeds our ancestors, in a way that is wildly mature and says, you know what, we're ready for evolution. We're tired of living in these generational chains and these patterns and repeating these things. It's time. So anchor in, anchor in. There's a redemption. There is a divine design and a calling on your life. And when it comes to anchoring in to your daily life, you have the power. It's all you. You can't control everything, but you can control your water, your food, your movement, your thoughts, your prayers. These are your controllables. These are your foundations, your spiritual training ground, so that when trust breaks or the storm and the chaos ensues and the life happens, the house is on fucking fire, your soul doesn't collapse with it. Your spirit doesn't break. You say, what's next, bitch? So ask yourself, I challenge you, where do you need to ask forgiveness for yourself and from others? Where do you need to forgive? What part did you play in the story? Own it. Because until you can own that part, you will never be able to fully see yourself and fully mature and know that identity and make a big difference in this world, right? Where do you need to trust? Where do you need to trust yourself? Trust God, trust others, especially when it feels hard, especially when it feels hard. That is when we are called to show the fuck up, is when shit's hard. Show the fuck up when it is hard, and you show up in the best, most vibrant part of yourself. So you're not too far gone. You haven't lost it all. It's not all shit. And neither are the people you're mad at, right? Or whatever you're disappointed in or hurt by. You are not a victim. You are a victor. So go climb that mountain. Put other people's backpacks down. Secure yours. Get rid of the shit in it that is holding you down and anchor in and rise and shine. Anchor in, you guys. I hope to see you tomorrow. It's been a beautiful day, and get outside, enjoy the sunshine, and own it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. It's Friday, last day of the week. Woo, woo, woo. Here we go. So enjoy it. All right. Take it easy, people. And just remember, you are not a victim. You are the victor of your life.